Hey, y'all. I try to produce this podcast several weeks in advance of the release. I don't always have as much lead time as I'd like, but in this particular case, I did. With the latest police murder of George Floyd and the worldwide protests that followed, I don't feel comfortable releasing an episode without acknowledging this senseless and shameful killing. I love producing this podcast, and I truly think that what you're about to hear is a great episode. But as a black man, I can't help but feel like my focus should be on fighting for change. Truth is, though, it's not just black people who should be fighting. It's all of our responsibility. And if I'm being honest, I think the burden should be less on the black community. Now, if you have the urge to inform me that there are white people fighting, please don't. I know that. I'd ask you to consider your own role as I'm trying to figure out mine. Not acknowledging the pain just felt like it would add even more. I guess I just wanted to send a rest in peace and power to Mr. George Floyd and the rest of those murdered by the police. Thank you, Read My Mind Radio family, and I hope you understand why that was necessary. Now, let's shift gears and get into what I think is a goodie.
Good day, passengers. Welcome aboard Flight 99 to a better place. In-flight service will be coming around soon with snacks and beverages. In the meantime, please sit back, relax, and enjoy your trip. And now, a message from the captain.
What's up, Read My Mind Radio family? Welcome aboard the podcast bringing you compelling people impacted by all degrees of vision loss, from low vision to total blindness. Every now and then, I bring you stories from my own experience as a man adjusting to becoming blind as an adult. My name is Thomas Reed, and I'm not only your pilot, but really, I'm traveling on this journey with you. Now, if you're new to blindness and have some reservations about this flight, I can tell you, ground control has approved us for takeoff. The forecast? A mix of clear skies with some possible thunderstorms. We will hit a bit of turbulence along the way, but don't worry, I got you. Wheels up, baby. Let's go.
Read
My mind.
Read
My mind.
In 2017 and 18, this podcast featured profiles of each of the Holman Prize winners. If you haven't checked out those episodes, I definitely want to encourage you to go back and give them a listen. While I decided not to produce Holman Prize episodes in 2019, early this year I came across one of the 2019 winners, Dr. Mona Minkara. She's a bioengineering professor at Northeastern University and the host and producer of Planes, Trains, and Canes,
which is a documentary series on YouTube showing me traveling to 5 different cities around the world and using only public transportation on my own.
So the first show that I started to watch, that was your first one when you were headed out from Boston and going to South Africa. And I'm trying to figure out, what is this feeling that I have? I said, wow, I think this is a little anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is good though. My podcast, I really like to try to reach out to those who are adjusting to being blind. That's my target audience. They're going to feel what I feel, but for different reasons. Now, I travel independently, not necessarily like you're doing. I thought about doing some of the things that you're doing when you're walking through an airport and just not getting the guide. And I'm like, wow, this is exactly how I thought I would do it, but I wasn't sure if there was a different way. People who are new to blindness need to see it, because I think some of the stuff, like the constant questioning that you're doing, the constant asking and figuring it out, people need to know that that is okay. And I love that. So that's why I contacted you.
It's so awesome to hear you say this. It's so awesome because, like, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I feel like this project actually even pushed me more than I normally push myself. I would have never risked on my own a 2-hour layover in Atlanta going by myself to the gate. Like, I would have never risked that on my own. But I did for the sake of this project. I'm like, we'll see what happens, you know?
Mona, oh my God. I'm so glad you just said that, because people need to know that. People definitely need to know that.
I completely agree. And then what's the worst that could happen? Like, you miss, okay, figure it out. I don't know. I think what's really important to the success of something like this is being flexible too. I was willing and okay and at peace with getting lost. I was willing and okay and at peace with my schedule changing. You know, like I had to be. Like I told myself, Mona, it's okay if I get lost. It's okay if it takes me like 3 hours to figure something out. It's okay.
The other thing that I like about what you're doing, and we're going to get into the questions in just a second, but okay, fine. I was excited. I don't usually include me geeking out over my guests, but it definitely happens. I knew this would be a comfortable conversation from the start. How you doing, Mona?
I'm doing great. How are you, Thomas?
I am good. Do you prefer Dr. Minkara? My bad.
No, not at all. Even though I've been told I probably should, but no.
I'm not really into formalities, but I realize she earned that PhD. And when she's on that campus, at those conferences, put some respect on her name. Especially considering the early advice given to her mother when learning Mona would be blind.
I had a doctor tell my mom that it wasn't going to be worth spending a penny on my education. The bright future that I had was over with that sentence. But it wasn't. My life was great.
From an early age, Mona was interested in pursuing science and knew she wanted to be a professor.
Even though a lot of times I got people discouraging me to do it because it wasn't very practical for a blind person to be a scientist. I'm probably a scientist because of Magic School Bus and Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Shout out to Bill Nye.
Yes, I am a PBS kid. PBS kid! I think a part of who I am is I truly just follow my passion, and I really value freedom and independence. That kind of carried over into Planes, Trains, and Canes because it was the ultimate test of my independence to allow me to have my freedom.
What came first? Was it the Holman Prize or was this a dream?
That's a good question. Very good question. I was a judge for the first year of Holman Prize. I remember going out there and helping to judge the applicant pool and being taken by this concept. Even the story of James Holman and why these people were applying.
James Holman, aka the Blind Traveler, completed a series of solo journeys taking him to all inhabited continents. The competition is sponsored by the San Francisco Lighthouse. $25,000 is awarded to each of the winners, who are each legally blind, and in their own way exhibit the adventurous spirit and attitude of James Holman. Following that first year, Mona had a thought.
I'd like to apply one day. What is it that I like to do? I really love public transportation. I feel like public transportation is a tool that is underappreciated by a lot of people, but it is a tool for me that really gives me freedom.
Currently living in Boston, the third city where she's lived on her own as an adult. Each of these cities having a completely different public transportation system.
And then it just clicked. The concept for Planes, Trains, and Canes. Traveling on my own using public transportation.
In addition, she sought out cities on different continents, which meant diverse cultures.
I didn't have a deeply scientific method, other than I also wanted to go to cities that I didn't speak the language, right? There's another barrier, right? You feel like you might be more lost in a non-English speaking place. And it was fascinating, and you can see in my upcoming episode for Istanbul, is that you don't really need the language. It was mind-blowing for me to realize how easy it was to still navigate in a city like Istanbul or Tokyo.
It's funny to hear the scientists say that there was no scientific method about it. From the videos, it doesn't seem like you spend that much time there. How much time are you spending in each place?
It was 4 days.
To go all the way to South Africa for 4 days, it's like, damn.
I know, I had to squeeze it with my new job. It was insane. I just started being a professor.
In addition to Istanbul and Tokyo, that's 4 days in Johannesburg, South Africa, London, and Singapore. While Planes, Trains, and Canes is all about independent travel, making the videos requires a team.
I remember thinking 3 years ago that whoever I did this with, I had to have a videographer that was somebody I could easily travel with, a solid person, and somebody who would really not break character.
Hello?
Hello, Natalie.
Hi, Thomas. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
During my initial conversation with Mona, she suggested I speak to her entire team, and I did. First up, Natalie Guzzi.
I'm the camera woman for Planes, Trains, and Canes. I'm 23, and this was my first time doing anything camera work related.
That was one of my first questions.
Cool, okay.
From my understanding, you were a friend or a coworker of Mona's?
Coworker turned really good friend. So I went to school to be a technical writing major, and I saw an open position, one of those like little pull tab job posts with the number and the email. Mona had put up signs for that. The interview went well, I guess.
In a way, working as an access assistant for Mona helped Natalie develop one of the most important skills for the videographer role of Planes, Trains, and Canes. You ask any blind person, and they're pretty much going to have a similar experience about being with someone who's sighted, going somewhere, and then having the person who's sighted being talked to as if the blind person isn't there. When did you first experience that?
First time I experienced that was at a chemistry conference, like an international conference where I was Mona's access assistant. It must have been just like checking into a hotel. It's under Mona's name. Mona's the PhD scientist. I'm the 23-year-old, but the person checking her in was looking at me.
This experience isn't exclusive to those who are blind. I hear the same from others with different disabilities too. There's two components. First, directing the conversation away from the person with a disability. And then there's the gaze. Now, check the technique.
How we work together with that kind of an issue is that I would just make eye contact with Mona. So like if you're trying to look at me and my gaze, then that is going to get redirected to her. So they know where I'm looking and where they should be looking. Sometimes people would pick up that and make that adjustment. Sometimes not. If we were talking and there wasn't like a counter between us, then I would almost like step over to their side. So I was also facing Mona.
As the videographer, Natalie has to make sure that it remains about Mona.
I tried to be as fly on the wall as possible, which is a little bit hard. It wasn't like a undercover operation. It was like someone following a blind woman with a camera. There were a lot of like stares and stuff like that, or questions about why the camera, or people addressing me that I shouldn't film, even though Mona was the subject.
They didn't know that she was a part of it. They thought you were just following her.
Yeah. They would like wave their hand in front of the camera.
And then you would have to explain things?
It depended on the situation. That's a good question too. I'm remembering a time in a train station in Johannesburg. I was trying to capture footage of Mona buying her train ticket. One of the staff there came up and told me I couldn't be filming, although all I really wanted to do was film that interaction of Mona buying the ticket. No, like here's the business card. We're filming a documentary. We're not mapping out your train system for any weird purpose.
That seems stressful to me. Can you talk about that?
Sure. By nature, I lean towards wanting to make people happy and feel comfortable and welcome. And when you're walking around with a camera and people don't know why, that's not really a possibility. It's difficult having those eyes and feeling those emotions from other people coming your way and having to remind yourself of the situation and the mission in the moment.
Did that get easier?
We had the opportunity to go to lots of different countries and with that experience different cultures. So it shifted every place that we went. Like people in Istanbul being like, welcome and we love it, and like come to our store as we were walking by and trying to get video.
These are the things making Natalie the right person for the job.
A thick skin. You got to have that self-confidence and confidence in the mission and in the team too. I think Mona and I's relationship, we just always have each other's backs. So I think that trust and that collaboration really was like the heart of the whole project, what kept us going.
That trust could even mean stepping in and putting yourself at risk.
In Johannesburg, Mona was crossing the street and this car was like taking a corner really fast. I had to jump into the street and like put my arms out. I just saw that car going way too fast. I wanted them to see two people in the street at least, like saying stop.
Mona and Natalie have the foundation, making up a real team.
We kind of worked together and she gave me feedback on like what worked in different situations. It was nice to have like a collaborator with that too and just follow Mona's lead.
After watching Planes, Trains, and Canes, and then having the chance to speak with Mona, it's apparent. What you see is what you get.
I'm pretty assertive, I would say, as a person, but I understand not everybody has that personality. But When I'm tired and exhausted and getting off a 16-hour flight, I'm not the sharpest, right? I'm just like, excuse me, like my energy is low. I could be ignored more easily in that situation versus when I'm like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and I'm like, hello?
You're quick to not give any sort of pity vibe or anything like that.
Yeah, because I don't want your pity. Like, I want you to treat me like any other human being. I just happen to be blind. Sighted people ask for directions all the time. All the time. Like, just adjust yourself just a little bit by verbalizing your directions for me. I appreciate it. Thank you. We're signing in. It's not signing in.
In order to win the prize, enabling Mona to start her adventure, she would have to first accumulate enough likes on her home and prize entry video. Contestants seeking the 25 G's must first post their video to YouTube.
My goal is to be like a blind Anthony Bourdain. He gave you a taste of the local food, I'll give you a taste of the local public transportation.
The videos need to explain their ambition and cannot exceed 90 seconds. Mona and Natalie paired up to shoot the videos, with Natalie taking her first shot at editing. The video foreshadows some of the reactions they'd eventually receive while traveling.
You're not allowed to help her, you're just filming? That's not fair.
If it's flying a plane or boarding a train or just riding the bus with my cane.
Winning the prize enabled them to purchase a camera and wireless microphone. Natalie and Mona learned more than they expected from editing that first 90-second ambition video.
How much work editing would be?
Mona recruited Angela Bacali, her current Access assistant at Northeastern.
She actually was the one who edited Johannesburg. She's actually with me right now. And okay, I'm bringing her in.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't expecting to be on the call.
So that was your first shot at editing?
I had done editing a little bit before. In college, I studied photography in China, and there I had done a few projects with videography, but mainly photography. This was my first full paid project.
The thing about creating a documentary series such as Planes, Trains, and Canes is that you don't know what your story is until it happens.
We recorded with no storyline in mind. Recording as life unfolds in front of you. And then extracting the story. So there's an element of being able to story tell what you've lived as opposed to the other way around. You are building the story and then you videotape for the story. You don't know what life is going to give you. As I was living it, I remember taking mental notes like, oh my God, like this would be really interesting to share with the audience.
Construction takes place in the editing room.
The main part is the story part. When Mona and Natalie gave me the videos, they also gave me this list of what they wanted the story to look like, what their idea was, and what they wanted to portray to the viewers, what the most important parts were, what parts were lighthearted, what parts were very specific to being blind, to traveling, and what needed to be kept in no matter what quality the video or audio was.
Mona is clearly directing all aspects of this project.
This part needs to be sped up, like it's kind of boring. I think we should add more of this part. I would say like, okay, let's find music that really represents the fact that I was feeling like fearful or excited. I only use music connected to whatever city I'm in. So all the music that was in the Johannesburg episode in part 2 is from musicians from Johannesburg. I personally had a certain vision for the vibe and what was happening, and Angela will work with me and like hear what I have to say and implement it.
Creating content like this means investing real time.
If you have 40 hours of video, you're taking about 60 hours to watch this video because you're going to go back and you're going to make notes. You're going to cut things and you rewatch those.
Angela was already committed to other projects, so Mona had to find another editor.
I'm Ted Jimenez. I'm the second editor that they put on the team to take on the newer episodes, London, Istanbul, Singapore, and Tokyo. I'm a self-taught editor. I worked with small independent studios before. Back in my home in the Philippines, I worked for Stages Sessions. It was a company that put on productions for indie musicians in the Philippines. So I did music videos for them, promotional videos for them. Now I'm in Boston,
where he too works at Northeastern, making psychological self-help videos. Mona decided early on that Planes, Trains, and Canes would not be a narrated style documentary.
This is where Mona and I have conflicting views. I was going in like with my script saying, oh, Mona, could you narrate this portion for us? And she is more of a fan of in the moment. I'm not going to pre-record a script that tells a story. I'd rather the audience live through the story because it tells the blind experience more naturally than if it was just said by her.
Show, not tell. Mona's voiceover narrations that you hear in the series are sort of a means of accentuating specific moments.
And it's also to make it more lighthearted.
I wanted comedy to be a main element. I want people to laugh while watching this because I want my message to really be heard, and it's going to be heard more through a comedic tone than through a lecturing serious tone.
Episode 2, London.
Lighthearted may be the goal, but come on. Traveling blind, just like living blind, you will have some encounters. So you know where I'm going now.
Today I'm heading to London. Flight leaves at 9:00.
You know the episode when you were told that you had to register.
Yeah, and I had no choice.
So now my anxiety went through the roof. Mona, I'm going to tell you, I'm not that good at that situation. I'm from the Bronx, Mona. I get a little aggressive, okay?
Dude, I'm going to tell you honestly, I held myself together because I didn't even know if Natalie was videotaping me or not, but just in case she was, I was like, I need to make this point clear.
I only have light perception.
Light perception.
But I'll figure it out.
Okay, hold on, stop, hold on. I think my colleague has asked me to stop for a second, so he want to have a word with you.
Oh, okay.
3 Metro employees surround Mona.
It's okay, you just relax, but a member of staff will escort you to the train.
That point is at the core of this project. Independence and freedom.
I really like London as an example about how we kind of tell that story. First, Mona getting off the plane into the subway. We foreshadowed that Mona likes the choice of being able to ask for assistance or not ask for assistance. In the second section of London, where she's coming from the airport to the metro, that's when we see that whole belief that she has of accepting or not accepting assistance.
Come on now. You have to go on over to YouTube and check out the series to find out more.
Next on Planes, Trains, and Canes.
Planes, Trains, and Canes is all about perspective. It's filmed from the perspective of a woman who is blind and enjoys traveling independently and values her choice. Along the way, she interacts with people who may view the world differently. You said he was nice?
I'm saying he was nice. Yeah.
Did you feel that way in the beginning? From the video, I took this guy like he was being condescending.
Oh, he was totally being condescending. I think it's just the norm there to kind of treat people with disabilities like we are a bunch of 5-year-olds. An underlying patronizing vibe.
As we each bring our individual perspective to the series, chances are there will be opposing points of view.
Did you see some of the comments that were on YouTube? Let me tell you, there was this one person who goes by Society's Sister. She wrote that I was selfish for not accepting the help.
Probably the same type of person to find the inclusion of audio description as a default in the series videos to be selfish.
I really wanted to make every video we create accessible to blind and deaf individuals.
That's a pretty inclusive approach, giving a variety of viewers a chance to benefit from Mona's experiences. What benefits did the production team gain from this experience? First, Natalie.
People are people wherever you go. They're curious. People probably want to know what's going on if you walk into a new situation. Maybe concerned if they see something new, if they see something different. No matter where you go, people do want to understand and to connect. Also, trust and partnership with Mona, just a profound sense of gratitude for working together, for collaborating, for trusting me to capture her experience and to be an observer.
Angela, who edited the first 2 episodes from Johannesburg, had hours of video to review. This gave her the chance to really see what Mona experiences.
I had a lot of moments where I went, what? Why? I can't believe someone would do that. I can't believe someone would say that. Why would someone treat you like that? Mona mentioned that Natalie was able to keep her calm. I'm the kind of person I'd be like, no, what are you doing? You can't do that. You can't treat someone like that. Yeah, I'm not someone that would be able to keep her cool when people would treat or act the way they were acting.
I can see Angela and I teaming up in some bar fights together. Ted, The editor of the remaining episodes, it should be noted, is not only editing, but he's doing all the audio description and captioning. As someone making a career as an editor, I had to ask him if he'd become a proponent of audio description. You're working with, I don't know, we'll say Steven Spielberg. You're like, Steven, we got to put some audio description on this, man.
Yeah. Hey, Steven, right now it's normalized for me to kind of like say, well, what are the options for everybody if I'm viewing a piece of media? Mona has made it specifically clear that the deadlines are the deadlines for everything. The captioning, the audio description, the video, it needs to be accessible to everyone.
Planes, Trains, and Canes was Mona's way to not only highlight the benefits that public transportation affords her, but also show the ingenuity and abilities of those who are blind. Mona's travels reveal lots of valuable lessons for those adjusting to blindness.
Even though I am 32 years old, in which I feel like I'm more at peace with it than I have ever been. I don't know if I want to share this with the world, but yes.
Well, let me just say something to you right now. And again, it's totally fine if you don't want to share that.
Yeah.
But that right there, think about it from the person who's adjusting.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. And I'll explain why I say this. I used to take comments of, you look sighted, as compliments. And I realized the detriment of that only until like last year. Why should that be a compliment? And I realized that I had built up all these techniques to almost compensate for blindness as opposed to work with it. I had internalized this concept that blindness is weakness. I think it's really important for blind people to realize we are inherently better problem solvers because we have to work around a lot of things. Blindness is not weakness, and to truly believe that, I don't know if I'm 100% there.
I so respect and appreciate that honesty. It's what I personally believe. Adjusting to blindness is a continuous process. And if that's okay for this bioengineer professor, well, I'm just saying, she's doing something right. What have you taken away from this whole experience?
I think I pushed myself more than I would have for the sake of videos. I learned that there's a lot of good out there and there's a lot of like negatives that we need to fix, and that's okay. I don't know how to explain this feeling. Like it's almost like an internal shift where I want to go to Mongolia, I can go to Mongolia. Or maybe before I'd be like, I don't really know how I would go to Mongolia. I need to find somebody to go with me or whatever. But now it's like a state of mind. No, if I want to go, I can go.
It sounds like you're free.
Exactly. I obtained more freedom than I ever thought I could. And I think I have more freedom than the average person gets to mentally experience. And what a privilege.
And it's attainable. You did it one specific way, but that's not the only way to attain that level of freedom and access.
Yeah. It's like I learned it from my travels, but I feel like it's not about the travels, right? You can learn it in your own backyard. It's about this mindset. You want it? Go for it.
Mona, this was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be great, but this was even better. 100%. Congratulations. I'm going to keep watching. I want to make sure other people watch. So you got a fan over here. Okay, I just want you to know that.
Thank you very much. I'm a fan of yours too.
Please welcome the latest members of the Read My Mind radio family, Planes, Trains, and Canes. That's Natalie Guzzi, Angela Bacali, Benjamin Ted Jimenez, and leading the way with her white cane in hand,
put some respect on my name,
Dr. Mona Minkara. Where can people check out Planes, Trains, and Canes, and also where can they learn more about you, Mona?
They can go to planestrains.canes.com or go to YouTube, type Planes, Trains, and Canes, or you can go to monaminkara.com to learn more about me. If you want to learn about my research, check out MinkaraCombinedLab.com.
If you're on Twitter, follow Plane, Train, Cane, singular, and at Mona_Minkara. You can subscribe to Read My Mind Radio wherever you get podcasts. Transcripts, resources, and more available at readmymind.com. And yes, that's R to the E-I-D.
D, and that's me in a place to be.
Like my last name.
Why should that be a compliment?
Peace.